Okay, beta. Good afternoon, everyone. So today we will start your chapter R environment, and this is the most important chapter for Sainik school and RMS, and it is too easy. Okay, and this is the first chapter of your chemistry and third chapter of science. We did food and health, and in this chapter we will cover communicable and non-communicable disease, and second chapter is animal habitat and adaptation. From now we will start with our environment chapter. Okay, let me start. Anyone knows what is environment? What is our environment? Anybody who can tell me what is environment? Okay, Swarit, can you tell me what is environment?
Our surroundings.
Our surroundings. Very good. Varun, can you tell me anything about environment? What is environment?
All human, plants, animals.
Very good. So, okay, lower your hand. I will explain you. Hands down, beta. I will explain you what is environment. Environment is the surroundings which is around us. Everything which is around us is called the part of our environment. Means anything. It will be air, it can be air, it can be water, it can be plants and animals, it can be soil, it can be sunlight. Everything which is around us is called environment. Means जो भी हमारी surroundings में है, this is called environment. Okay, which is around us like air, water, sunlight, plants, soil, animals, human beings, microorganisms. Environment is the area where living organisms live. जहाँ पर living organisms live करती हैं, that is called environment. And जो हमारे living beings की life को able बनाते हैं survive करने में, that is called our environment. Means environment क्या होता है? Which is around us. Everything which is around us is called environment. So our environment is divided into two parts: biotic and abiotic components. Biotic components are all living things and abiotic are all non-living things. Means biotic things are living things like plants, animals, human beings, bacteria, fungus, protozoa, algae, which have life are called biotic things, and which do not have life, these are called abiotic things like water, soil, air, minerals, light. And we depend on abiotic things like let us see, plants cannot survive without water, without soil, without light, and without air. So we are dependent on these non-living things. Animals cannot survive without water, without plants, without sunlight, without air. So these we are dependent on abiotic things. Okay, when we interact with these organisms, that term is called ecosystem. Okay, let us see, bacteria and fungus, these cannot survive without dead organic matter. Okay, they are dependent on organic matter. So when we depend on abiotic things or a biotic thing, that term is called ecosystem. डिफरेंस क्या है इकोसिस्टम एंड एनवायरनमेंट में? एनवायरनमेंट में ये थिंग्स आती हैं, these all are the components of environment. And when we depend on these abiotic things or biotic things, that is called ecosystem. Ecosystem is the community where the biotic and abiotic elements interact with each other. जब हमारी एक ऐसी कम्युनिटी जब बायोटिक और एबायोटिक आपस में इंटरेक्ट करेंगे, आपस में एक दूसरे को यूज करेंगे, दैट इज कॉल्ड इकोसिस्टम. उसको क्या बोला जाता है? इकोसिस्टम. Let me clear you first of all what is environment. Environment are the components which are around us, like biotic or abiotic. when we depend on abiotic things or we interact with abiotic or biotic things, like animals interact with animals, किस किस के साथ interact करते हैं? They eat plants, they use water, they use air, they use light, they use land. So this is called ecosystem. Next, human beings. What human beings use? Plants for food, water for drinking, air for breathing, light for seeing. So this is called ecosystem. When we when we interact with uh, biotic or abiotic things, that term is called ecosystem. Clear, beta? What is environment and what is ecosystem? Environment is consists of biotic and abiotic things. When we depend on or when we interact with abiotic or biotic things, that term is called ecosystem. Okay. Next is the term atmosphere is related with air. When I am talking about atmosphere, it is related with air. Okay. जब भी मैं एटमॉस्फेयर टर्म को यूज करूंगी बेटा, तो मैं हवा की बात कर रही हूँ, एयर की बात कर रही हूँ. If I'm talking about biosphere, it is related with living beings. Okay, means all the living beings like animals, plants, human beings, microorganisms, all are living beings. And when I am used to say about biosphere, it is related with living beings. Next is hydrosphere. Hydrosphere is related with water. Means when I am talking about hydrosphere, it is related with water. Okay. Then lithosphere, when I'm talking about lithosphere, it is related with land. In the science, you will use for land lithosphere, water for hydrosphere, living beings biosphere, and air for atmosphere. You can use it also. आप लैंड के लिए लिथोस्फीयर टर्म यूज कर सकते हैं, वाटर के लिए हाइड्रोस्फीयर यूज कर सकते हैं, लिविंग थिंग्स के लिए बायोस्फीयर, एयर के लिए एटमॉस्फेयर. Let us see in this figure: atmosphere, air; lithosphere, land or earth; hydrosphere, water. When I'm talking about water bodies, it is hydrosphere. Then biosphere is related with all the living beings. It can be aquatic living beings. It can be human beings. It can be animal. It can be microorganism. ये कोई भी हो सकता है biosphere. Okay. Next, biotic components and abiotic components. देखिए बेटा, biosphere is termed from biotic. देखिए, this biosphere is termed from biotic things. Okay, so biotic are living things like human beings, animals, plants, microorganisms. Abiotic components are non-living things on which we are dependent, जिसके ऊपर हम dependent होते हैं, and that is called ecosystem, like air, water, sunlight, soil, rocks, clouds. These all not having life. These all are non-living beings. Then what is the difference between environment and an ecosystem? Okay, आपको बेटा फर्स्ट स्लाइड में ही क्लियर हो गया होगा कि एनवायरमेंट एंड इकोसिस्टम में क्या डिफरेंस है. What is environment? Environment is the everything that's around us, which is present inside, outside us, is called environment, like air, water, sunlight, soil, anything. It can be anything. Then when we interact with biotic and abiotic things, that is called ecosystem. Abhay, Malik, what are you doing, beta? Listen to me very carefully. So ecosystem, when we interconnect or interact with biotic and abiotic things, that is called ecosystem. Next is food chain and food web. What is food chain and what is food web? इसमें बहुत difference है. देखिए, what is food chain? Food chain, first of all, decomposes the dead organic matter into the soil. Decomposes dead organic matter को bacteria and fungi क्या कर देंगे? Decompose कर देंगे. Then producers खुद ही grow होते हैं. Plants अपना खाना खुद बनाते हैं. Means these are called producers. First of all, grass को कौन eat करेगा? Grasshopper. And grasshopper को बेटा primary consumer बोला जाता है. Means जो सिर्फ herbivorous animal है, ठीक है, मीन्स ये सिर्फ प्लांट्स को ईट करेगा। देन सेकेंडरी कंज्यूमर्स वो कंज्यूमर्स होते हैं लाइक दोज हु आर कार्निवोरस, मीन्स जो इन ग्रास होपर्स को ईट करेंगे, दीज आर कोल्ड सेकेंडरी कंज्यूमर्स। आफ्टर दैट दिस स्नेक ईटन दिस ब्लू बर्ड, these are called territory consumers, means जो अपने से small animals को eat करते हैं, these are called territory consumers. Then this owl make this snake prey and eat this, so this is called apex or predator, means these are dependent on each other, means जो ग्रास ऊपर होगा वो सिर्फ ग्रास को ही ईट करेगा। देन ग्रास ऊपर ब्लू बर्ड के द्वारा ईट किया जाएगा, स्नेक ब्लू बर्ड को ईट कर लेगा, आउल स्नेक को ईट कर लेगा, मीन्स ये इंडिपेंडेंट है एक दूसरे के ऊपर। सो दिस इज कॉल्ड फूड चेन। फूड चेन एक सिस्टमैटिक वे में चलती है, एक सीक्वेंस वे में चलती है, बट जो कि फूड वेब होता है, इन दिस एनीवन कैन ईट एनीवन, कोई भी किसी को भी ईट कर सकता है, ठीक है। मीन्स ये फॉक्स अर्थवॉर्म को भी ईट कर सकती है, स्नेक्स फ्रॉग्स ग्रास होपर को भी ईट कर सकते हैं, ईगल रैबिट को भी ईट कर सकती है। सो दिस इज कॉल्ड अ फूड वेब। फूड वेब में कोई भी किसी को भी ईट कर लेगा। अब देखिए डिकम्पोजर्स क्या होते हैं बेटा। डिकम्पोजर्स डिकम्पोज करते हैं डेड ऑर्गेनिक मैटर को। देन प्रोड्यूसर्स क्या करते हैं बेटा, प्लांट्स जो कि अपना खाना खुद बनाते हैं। प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर्स ऑल हर्बिवोरस एनिमल्स आर कॉल्ड प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर्स, जो कि प्रोड्यूसर्स को ही ईट करते हैं। Then secondary consumers like frog and snake which eat only carnivore, means which are carnivorous animals which eat only primary consumers. Then territory consumers are also consumers but ये अपने से छोटे एनिमल्स को ईट करते हैं। So these are called territory consumers. Okay. So our next topic is what is food chain and what is food web. The sequence of transfer of matter and energy in the form of food from organism to organism, means food और energy का transfer होना one organism to another, that is called food chain. And what is food web, means anyone eat anyone. So in this interconnection word, food web is the natural interconnection of food chain. इसमें कोई भी किसी को भी eat कर सकता है, interconnected है ये chain. So this is called food web. Let me clear you again. What we did is, what is environment? Environment is the which is around us is called environment. It can be air, water, plants, animals, human beings. Environment which is around us means जो भी ऐसी organism जो हमारे surroundings में है, this is called environment. Environment is divided into two parts, biotic components and abiotic components. Biotic components are living beings, abiotic are non-living beings. Living beings are like plants, animals, bacteria, fungus, protozoa, and non-living beings are like soil, air, minerals, light, sunlight. And biotic things are dependent for their food on abiotic things, and this is called ecosystem. When we interact with abiotic things or biotic things for our needs, that is called ecosystem. Ecosystem is the community where the biotic and abiotic elements interact with each other. जब वो एक दूसरे के connection में आते हैं, interact करते हैं, so that term is called ecosystem. Then we did atmosphere. Atmosphere is related with air. Biosphere is related with living beings. Hydrosphere is related with water. Lithosphere is related with land. You have to learn this. Okay. Then what are biotic and abiotic things? Biotic components are living beings. For example, human beings, animals, plants, microorganisms, all are biotic things. Then abiotic things are non-living things on which we are dependent for the food, like air, water, sunlight, soil, rocks, clouds, all are the example of abiotic things. Then, what is the difference between environment and an ecosystem? Everything which is around us is called environment. Means हम biotic और abiotic, अगर आपसे पूछा जाए air, water, sunlight ये क्या है, हमारे environment का part है. But when we interact with air, water, sunlight, that is called ecosystem. उसको इकोसिस्टम बोला जाएगा. Both biotic and abiotic components and their interaction is called ecosystem. Then we did food chain and food web. What is food chain? When a sequence of food eating is called food chain. When anyone can eat anyone, that is called a food web. Means food chain में एक sequence चलेगा बेटा. ग्रास होपर ग्रास को ही ईट करेगा, बर्ड्स ग्रास होपर को ही ईट करेंगे, स्नेक्स एनिमल्स को ही ईट करेंगे, स्मॉलर एनिमल्स को, और आउल अपने से छोटे एनिमल्स को ईट करेंगे. सो दिस इज अ फूड चेन. बट फूड वेब में कोई भी छोटा एनिमल बड़े एनिमल को ईट कर सकता है, या बड़ा छोटे को भी, कुछ भी हो सकता है इसमें. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड अ फूड वेब. इन दिस आई टोल्ड यू डिकम्पोजर्स आर द microorganisms which decompose the dead organic matter into the soil. What are producers which make their own food? Primary consumers which are dependent on producers. Secondary consumers which are dependent on primary consumers, like these all are carnivorous animals. Then tertiary consumers are dependent for their food on secondary consumers. Okay, beta? So next we did the definitions of food chain. The sequence of transfer of matter and energy in the form of food from organism to organism is called food chain. What is a food web? A food web is the natural interconnection of food chains. और food web क्या होती है? एक interconnection होता है food chain का. Next, ये जो कि है बेटा, ये important है इसमें, और ये अच्छे से समझना. ठीक है, ये हमारा इकोलॉजिकल पिरामिड है कि कौन किस तरह से किसके ऊपर डिपेंडेंट है. ठीक है, सो दिस इज कॉल्ड अ इकोलॉजिकल पिरामिड. देखिए बेटा, इन दिस decomposers decompose the dead organic matter into the soil and recycle the nutrients. मीन्स सारे न्यूट्रिएंट्स सॉइल में आ जाएंगे उस ऑर्गेनिक मैटर के, डेड ऑर्गेनिक मैटर के. देन यहाँ से स्टार्ट होती है आपकी इकोलॉजिकल पिरामिड. नंबर 1, सबसे पहले जो कि सनलाइट की एनर्जी लेते हैं वो प्राइमरी प्रोड्यूसर्स ही कंज्यूम करते हैं सनलाइट की एनर्जी को. ठीक है, मीन्स टोटली यूज 100% प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर्स करते हैं. ठीक है, देन एनर्जी इस तरह से ट्रांसफर होती है अनदर टू अनदर, इससे फिर इसको ट्रांसफर होगी एनर्जी, देन इसको, और देन इसको. अब ये जितने भी एनिमल्स होते हैं इनमें ये सब क्या करते हैं? एनर्जी लॉस करते हैं इन द फॉर्म ऑफ हीट. ठीक है, जैसे हम भी, जैसे वार्म ब्लडेड एनिमल्स हैं जो कि अपनी हीट को लूज करते हैं. ठीक है, सो दिस इज कॉल्ड एनर्जी लॉस्ट एज अ हीट. अब देखिए, सबसे पहले प्राइमरी प्रोड्यूसर्स बेटा, ऑल दी प्लांट्स आर कॉल्ड प्राइमरी प्रोड्यूसर्स. मैंने अभी बताया था आपको. और प्लांट्स अपना खाना कैसे बनाते हैं? सनलाइट की एनर्जी को यूज करके. ठीक है, देन प्राइमरी प्रोड्यूसर्स. प्राइमरी प्रोड्यूसर्स वो होते हैं जो सिर्फ प्लांट्स को ही ईट करते हैं, जैसे कि ग्रास होपर इज द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर. ठीक है, सो दीज आर कॉल्ड प्राइमरी कंज्यूमर्स. अब सेकेंड जो है सेकेंडरी कंज्यूमर्स, मीन्स जो कि सिर्फ प्लांट्स को ही ईट करते हैं, मीन्स जो कार्निवोरस एनिमल्स हैं, दीज आर कॉल्ड सेकेंडरी कंज्यूमर्स. मीन्स उस ग्रास होपर को एक बर्ड ने ईट किया तो बर्ड क्या है? सेकेंडरी कंज्यूमर है, और इसकी एनर्जी इसने ले ली. देन नेक्स्ट टू नेक्स्ट, नेक्स्ट में क्या होगा बेटा? थर्ड लेवल कंज्यूमर. थर्ड लेवल कंज्यूमर में लाइक स्नेक्स, स्नेक क्या ईट करेगा? उस बर्ड को ईट कर लेगा. दीज आर कॉल्ड थर्ड लेवल कंज्यूमर्स. एंड देन उस स्नेक को किसी फॉक्स ने या लॉयन ने या ईगल ने, जिसने भी ईट किया, वो क्या होंगे? अपेक्स प्रेडेटर्स. Let me explain you again what are decomposers which decompose the dead organic matter into the soil and recycle the nutrients. Primary producers are the plants which make their own food with the help of sun's energy. In this, all levels will lose their energy in the form of heat. In this, energy is transferred to next level. Okay, like this. In this, primary consumers are the plants which make their own food. Primary consumers are those organisms which eat the primary producers, for example grasshopper. Then secondary consumers are all the carnivorous animals which eat the primary consumers, like bird eat the primary consumer. So it is the example of secondary consumer. Then snake eats the secondary consumer, means bird is eaten by a snake. Snake is a third level consumer. Then snake is eaten by the eagle. Eagle is a apex predator. So this is the ecological pyramid. Okay, how the organisms getting the energy, sunlight's energy, or how nutrients are recycled, how heat is lost. नेक्स्ट, अब इस डायग्राम को बेटा ध्यान से देखिएगा, ये सिर्फ एग्जाम्पल के लिए मैंने ली है इमेज, दिस इज ओनली फॉर क्लैरिफाई यू. दिस इज कोल्ड प्लैंक्टन्स, मींस प्लैंक्टन सबसे स्मॉल ऑर्गेनिजम्स होते हैं ओशियंस के, जिनको ईट करते हैं क्रैब्स. Crabs are eaten planktons, and then these crabs are eaten by the fishes, small fishes, and then small fishes is eaten by the large fishes, and the large fishes is eaten by the killer fishes. So in this way ocean pyramid is continuing. ठीक है, इस तरह से चलता है ये. Plankton is eaten by the crabs, crabs is eaten by the small fishes, small fishes are eaten by the fishes, and fish are eaten by the killer fishes. Okay, ये है हमारा इकोलॉजिकल पिरामिड इन ओशन. ओशंस में इस तरह से चलता है. Let me explain again what is environment. Environment is the surroundings or the things which is around us is called environment. It can be air, water, plants, animals, human beings. Anyone is environment. Then environment is divided into two parts, biotic and abiotic. Biotic are living beings, abiotic are non-living things. When we depend on these biotic and abiotic things, that term is called ecosystem. Then we did atmosphere is related with air. When I am using term atmosphere, in this I am using the word air. If biosphere I am using, it is related with living things. Hydrosphere term is related with water. Lithosphere is related with land. Then we did biotic components and abiotic components. Biotic components are all living beings and abiotic are all non-living beings. Then the difference between environment and ecosystem. Everything which is around us is environment, and when we dependent or interact with each other, biotic and abiotic, that is called ecosystem. Then in a food chain, a sequence is continued, means primary is eaten by secondary, secondary is eaten by tertiary, and a tertiary is eaten by apex. It is a food chain. And in the food web, anyone can eat anyone, means apex can eat secondary consumer also, or apex can eat primary consumer also. So this is a food web. Then ecological pyramid. In this, decomposers decompose the dead organic matter into the soil. Then nutrients are recycled. Primary producers are those which make their own food, and primary producers are eaten by the primary consumers like grasshopper. And then grasshopper is eaten by the secondary consumer like birds. Then birds are eaten by the like snake, third level consumer. Snake is a third level consumer. And then snake is eaten by a eagle. Eagle is a apex predator, and these all are losing their energy. Okay, this is called a ecological pyramid.
इस वीडियो को लाइक करें, हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर बेल आइकन जरूर प्रेस करें हमारी न्यू वीडियो सबसे पहले देखने के लिए.